Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all of you are fine. Let's begin our today's topic. Today we are going to discuss that what is communication, how does it help us, why it is very important, and what is the communication process, how can we make this process successful, what are the things which need to make your communication effective, and what are the various purposes which are, which can take place through communication. So, what is communication? Take 2 seconds and think in your mind that what comes to your mind whenever you think or hear this word. According to the book, it says that communication is the process of transmitting information and meaning between senders and receivers. So we can see that there are two things clear from this, that you need to transfer information, but you need to transfer meaning as well. So maybe we can communicate information easily, but meaning, to convey meaning is difficult, because if the message is clear, statistical, or based on facts, the information will be transferred easily. But if the words are having multiple meanings, if the meaning of the words are being affected by the context, then definitely you need to work on various levels to find out or search out the actual meaning of the language. It's a process which exists between two parties. One is the sender and the other is receiver, irrespective of their numbers. So to make the process successful, there should be coordination between sender and receiver. And how can the sender send the message? He can use written channel, or we can convey the message through speaking, or maybe through visual image, where he's not using language but showing through some images. He can use any electronical channels, internet, any other medium to convey the message. It depends on the sender, that what type of medium he is going to use, or sometimes it depends on the the demand of the receiver as well. So it depends on what type of audience you are targeting actually. Now, the crucial part of communication is to keep the audience engaged, because it is not easy to be heard on the other side. It is not easy to be understood by people. So how can you keep them engaged? How can you tell them to listen you? You need to provide them purpose. You need to convince them that whatever you are going to communicate, it is of mutual benefit. It is going to benefit them. It is going to bring some positive change in their life. Until or unless you attach a purpose with your communication, it's very hard to keep your receiver active, because people don't do anything without purpose. So you need to attach something, some valuable purpose with your message, so that you can be heard on the other side. As I said earlier, there are two parties involved, so it's a two-way process. And how it is, this process can be explained, that on the one end of the communication process, there's a sender, on the other side is the receiver. Now the sender has an idea, and sender is the initiator of the message. He thinks that he has wonderful idea which can be communicated towards the receiver. Now then he chooses a medium. It can be written, oral, or it can be visual. Now, it depends on sender, it depends on the target audience as well. So sender uses a medium and sends the message to the receiver. But as you can see, there is a line drawn between receiver and sender, that is called feedback and response. If we eliminate this line, the communication process will become useless and incomplete. So this shows that it is very important to have active participation on the end of the receiver as well. Because if receiver is not participating, if receiver is not giving you feedback, so it is very difficult for a sender to understand that whether his message has been conveyed successfully or not. It is very difficult for sender to engage that, okay, which part of the message was conveyed and which is left, from where to begin the next idea, from where to begin the next lecture. So that is why it is very important during an online lecture to give, or to get the feedback or the responses from you as well. You can see in the middle of the rectangle, there are I can't say barrier. There are many barriers which hinder communication. They can be technical, they can be personal. For example, in an online class, if internet is not working, that is a technical error. If there is no light, it will be hard for you to get connected. Then there are many physical barriers as well. If the receiver is not ready to listen, it's very hard for the sender to communicate or to convey the message. If the receiver is having some emotional problems, he is engaged somewhere else, he's obsessed with some other idea, he is not physically well, um, there is some other problems, like there is background noise. So there are so many barriers which hinder the process of communication. um, to make the communication smooth, it is very important for sender and receiver to interact and to work on the same level, because if the sender is putting his 100% and if receiver is not putting even 50%, the communication will fail. And it's vice versa. If the receiver is very much very much interested to learn and the sender is not communicating that way, again that communication process is incomplete. Now, think again that why it is important to be a good communicator. Why everywhere there is a demand of this good communication skills. Why everybody is asking for person who is well versed, who is good at oral and verbal communication. The answer is there are so many purposes attached with that. Suppose you are a very good thinker, suppose you are a very good ideologist, you have brilliant ideas, you have brilliant thinking, but if you don't have words, if you don't know how to communicate, if you don't know how to express yourself, those ideas will die in your mind. They would exist for you, but they won't exist for the world. So to be heard and to be known by the world, you need to be a good communicator. There are many purposes which we attach with communication. The first and the most frequently used is to get and give information. The sender has an idea and he wants to convey or get through this idea to the receiver. So he wants to get his audience to get informed. The other level is to make them understand, okay, they are listening and they are understanding. These are the initial levels, but after that there are different things attached with that. For example, to change the behavior, it is to change the behavior, to persuade and to get your desired action done are the difficult parts of communication, because they need consistent efforts on your part. It's not easy to change somebody's behavior. If somebody is lazy, if somebody is not interested to participate in an online class and they have made up their mind that the online class is of no use and they cannot learn anything, it's very difficult to make them engage. It's very difficult to convince them that, okay, I'm going to ask you questions frequently and you are supposed to answer, so through chat or through mic, whatever. So you need to convince the receiver that it's of your benefit. Then you can ask them to get that action done once, to get action done once, twice, thrice, and then gradually it changes their behavior, right? So to if it sounds similar that to get action and to change behavior is the same, no, they are different. To get your action done once, like you said to the class to, okay, write it and send it through chat, if they're doing it for the first time, that is to get your action done. But if you're making it their habit, you are using that strategy so frequently that they are used to it during your class, and they know that, okay, in this class we need to be active, and anytime any question can come up to us and we have to answer. So they would not only listen, they would not only understand, rather they behave the way you want them to be. There are many benefits of effective communication, because effective communication is the one when the purpose of the center is received as it is on the end of the receiver. जो पर्पस एक सेंडर लेना चाह रहा है अपने मैसेज के थ्रू, अगर रिसीवर अकॉर्डिंगली बिहेव कर रहा है, तो इसका मतलब ये है कि द कम्युनिकेशन इज इफेक्टिव. So it helps to solve the differences. Definitely, if you communicate, if you're well versed, you can come up with the problems, the difference of opinion, the difference of ideas, and you can sort them out. Effective communicators They have trust and respect mutually for each other. It helps people to come up with stronger decisions. It helps in problem solving. And once the problem is solved, there are um, the increased productivity, and the workflow will be smoother. And how do you problem solve? Because when you are um, focusing on the communication, you can see that there are potential warning problems. If you're looking at the situation keenly, if you're looking at the person keenly, and you know that how that particular person behaves, and how that particular situation can turn up, so you know that what possible things can happen to you and what are the possible solutions in hand. So it helps you to come up with the solutions beforehand. um, Effective communication not only makes your business relationship stronger, but I believe that it believes every single relationship stronger. If you are a good communicator, if you communicate things in a better way, so you are going to have a long lasting relationship. It clears and more persuasive marketing messages definitely. In business scenario, the purpose is to make your convince your clients to get your services or products. So if you're a good communicator, and if you have set the purpose to persuade your client, you are definitely going to get that purpose fulfilled. It enhances professional images for both employers and the companies. And once the employees are satisfied with the organization, they hardly leave that place. So ultimately it results into better financial results as well. Why effective communication is important in business scenario? Because um, every single day you might have seen in the job advertisement that the most, if you can single out one thing which makes you different from others, that is your communication. Because your communication is the hallmark that how you are presenting the product, how you are presenting the company, how you're presenting your ideas. So once you are successful to present your ideas, or to prove yourself that you write well, you speak well, and you listen well, then definitely you can handle various business situations successfully. Now, to understand the message, the crucial part is to understand the meaning. As I said earlier, that it factual information, transferring factual information. For example, you are asking for a glass of water. That is an easy thing, right? And based on factual information. But if you are saying something which has multiple meanings, so to get to know those meanings is very crucial, and it is not possible to get to know the meanings directly and instantly sometimes. Look at this example as we practiced it in the class, that when I ask you that, okay, what type of impression you get from this example, all of you, almost all of you said that this is a positive message, right? But when we see the message in a context where the student is asking for a favor of 30 more minutes, whereas the teacher was on time and student was late, so the teacher's response is not positive here. In the context, it's negative, it's sarcastic, it's like making the student feel that he's on the wrong part, he's asking for a favor which is not possible, right? So to know the meanings, the purpose of this example is to know, to tell you that meanings or language does not exist in isolation. Language does not exist in the air. You need to see many factors, you need to see many things to get to know the real meaning of the word. Though apparently excellent idea is the positive word and carrying the positive message, but when you see it in the context, you see that it can portray the negative meaning as well. So whenever we are looking for meanings, we can see that meanings, you need to know the independent meaning of the word, because if you don't know the meaning of excellent, you cannot get the idea that whether it is independently positive hai ya nahi hai. Then you have to see that meanings of a word in a context, how a context can change the meaning of a word, right? How can how meanings change when you see the whole message, not a single word, but the whole message, the whole situation, and the purpose of the sender. You need to understand the person who's sending the message. You need to understand the psyche of that person, that how he's treating you. Is he using a plain language, or he's being sarcastic, ironical? Um, double how many multiple meanings are attached with that. So you need to work on all these to reach to the exact meaning which is being conveyed to you. Talking about the types of communication, we can say that types of communication can be divided into mainly into two things: verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Then there is further subdivision into oral communication and written communication. Oral communication, you can see the example that face-to-face conversation to online lectures, audios, videos, and telephonic discussions. Whereas written communication includes every single message that is being communicated through writing. Whenever we talk about nonverbal communication, we say that nonverbal communication is of great importance because it's very reliable. Nonverbal communication is the one where people are still, find it difficult to fake it. Though they can fake their writing, they can fake their, spoken words, but the expressions, the body language, the tone, the eye contact, the facial expressions are more reliable. As per some researches, they say that if there's a contradiction between verbal and non-verbal, like if they are not matching with each other, then non-verbal is more reliable because that is more genuine feedback from the people. When we talk about appearance plays part in nonverbal communication when it comes to diverse situations where people from multiple scenarios are coming, multiple cultures are coming. So they help you recognize the background, culture, social and culture background of a person, but directly they are not attached to the meaning. The more meanings are attached to the body language, the posture, the voice, how somebody is speaking, where he's taking the pause, where he's emphasizing every single word. So you need to listen and you need to understand that what is the message behind all these nonverbal signals. So we can say that, and we can list that the most common ways of communication are speaking, writing, body language, and visual images. Now, when we talk about levels of communication, there are two things which are of great importance: intrapersonal communication and interpersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication is the self-talk, talking to yourself. If you want to know yourself, if you want to explore yourself, you should know yourself first. You should know that which things make you happy. You should know that which things make you sad. You should know that if you are having feelings, that what are the particular reasons of some positive and negative feelings within you. If you're going to take any decision, you should know that why you're taking that decision and what are you thinking about it. Every single thing should be discussed with you first before presenting it to the world, because the more clear you are about yourself, the more clear your ideas will be. Another thing, the person who knows himself the best, he is hardly affected by comments given by others. He's hardly affected by the outer world because he knows himself very well and he knows what is happening inside. So clarity comes from yourself first. So before knowing the world, it's important to know yourself. The more you know yourself, the more you will know the world. It is going to help you a lot on so many levels. So self talk is very normal and very, very, very important to explore the world. Explore yourself first. In interpersonal communication, there are, we can say that small group communication or large group communication. uh, the number doesn't matter, from 2 to 200 people. If you're communicating, that is interpersonal communication, right? So if you can talk about two different things, that intra and inter, you're talking to yourself and you're talking to the world. As I said earlier, the more you talk to yourself, the more successfully you can talk to the world and you can face to the world. Okay, the last but not the least, the mass communication. Mass communication or print transmission of messages is of great importance. You can see that there is, the world is replete with the channels, the media, the television, film. Every single thing is filled with information, either it's billboard, newspaper, book. So being a receiver or being viewer, you need to be very selective. You need to know that what you are watching, you need to know that what you are listening, you need to know that what you are reading, because every single thing is going to affect you directly or indirectly, in a day or in a spur of time, in a second or in a year. So, and people who get agree with the things they are watching, they are more likely to be affected by them. So you can say that these things are going to affect you. That's why you need to be very careful as a receiver. These are the references. Thank you. Hope you have understood.